was always working to improve himself and also being an advocate for young people.
An Akron family heartbroken after losing a family member. He was shot by police during a traffic stop in Akron that turned deadly. His family admits he was not himself. Our Harry Boomer in Akron with their plea for those with mental health issues to get some help. Harry.
That's right, Brian. Some people struggling with mental health issues can handle it. The family of Marcus Smith says he was one of those, but in the end, it was depression and anxiety that appears to have been too hard for him to handle.
Losing my brother is losing a part of my life.
Ashley Ivory is the grieving sister of 39-year-old Marcus Leonard Smith.
My brother named me, so I spent a lot of my life looking up to my brother.
Marcus was shot and killed by Akron police Monday morning. Officers say he opened fire on them during a traffic stop. He reportedly stole a gun and a car from Columbus and was spotted in the Akron area. Now Ashley and the rest of Marcus's family try to find peace by looking at pictures and remembering who he was now that he's dead. This is his mother, Beverly Ivory.
He was such a wonderful young man. You know, his mission was, you know, he loved to coach, he loved to teach. He was so excited, you know, he was working on his PhD.
The family says Marcus was dealing with some mental health issues for which he sought help. They say they haven't heard much about what actually happened, and at this point, they aren't casting any blame.
The person that they saw on Monday is not Marcus Smith, you know, and that is real, this mental illness. That's what I want to relay, to get help and seek help for your loved ones.
I reached out to the Akron Police Department and I received a short statement that read, quote, "Nothing new on the officer-involved shooting," end quote. Marcus Smith's family says he was born here in Akron and had moved to Cincinnati. Sadly, this is where he died. At the Akron Police Department, I'm Harry Boomer, 19 News.